This even as airports gear up to prevent the Omicron super mutant from entering the country. Scanning of passengers and protocols for both incoming and outgoing flights are getting tougher. And the biggest collateral, travel for trade and business, which was just tottering back to normal after the second wave of COVID. Some of India's biggest trade partners, UK, Europe, Israel, Mauritius, China, Singapore and Hong Kong are on the at-risk countries list. Though United States is not yet on the red list, New Zealand, South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe and Brazil also make the list. At least 4 countries, China, Japan, Israel and Morocco, have also shut their borders to all foreigners, putting greater pressure on business travelers. These countries on the risk list make up for 25% of Indian exports and 35% of India's imports. This is the area in Delhi airport made ready for international passengers who will be in isolation as they are tested by authorities for the Omicron variant, ready for the tough new rules put in place by the government. All passengers arriving from the at-risk countries will have to undergo a mandatory RT-PCR test and wait in the isolation area of the airport till the result is out. If the result is positive, the passenger will undergo institutional quarantine and treatment. If negative, the passenger will still have to be quarantined at home and test again on the 8th day. This will be followed by self-monitoring for the next 7 days. Passengers arriving from non-risk countries will undergo random tests and will also have to submit their 14-day travel history. Dalal Street, meanwhile, is already punishing stocks linked to travel and hospitality. A glance at companies with highest market capitalization in the travel, airlines and hotel sectors show them much below their year highs. Investors have clearly anticipated tough times ahead and sold off these companies.
We are already seeing how some of the flights to and fro from these destinations, they have become too expensive. People do not want to travel. People don't want to go abroad, especially in those countries where there are cases of the new variant. So looking at this, the aviation sector is now thinking that there is a possibility, in case we see a rise in the cases across the globe, there is a possibility of more countries putting a ban on international flights, and there are people who believe that this happens, then we will see the aviation as well as the tourism industry see another very painful year. This is Aishwarya Paliwal reporting for Business Today with camera person Ashwini Helle.
BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra has been appointed chairman of the Indian Tourism Development Corporation. The decision was taken on Tuesday by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. The committee split the post of CMD, ITDC, into two, the chairman and the MD. It also appointed Sambit Patra as a part-time non-executive director and the chairman of the Hotels PSU for a period of 3 years. Patra earlier in 2017 had been appointed an independent director of ONGC for 3 years, a move that had invited much criticism even as a court case. Haryana seems to be on the target to implement reservation in private sector jobs for the residents. The sector announced 75% reservations in all jobs up to a salary of 50,000 rupees a month. The government reportedly collected all information regarding these jobs and says it will ensure the Gazette notification is in place by Jan. Listen in to Dushyant Chautala, the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana.
अब तक 20,000 के लगभग कंपनियों ने हम पोर्टल पर अपने आप को रजिस्टर कराया है, जिनने अपना एम्प्लॉइज डाटा इस पे अपलोड करने का काम किया है। और हमारा प्रयास है कि 15 जनवरी से पहले हरियाणा प्रदेश तमाम इंडस्ट्रीज को हम उनके माध्यम से रजिस्टर कर हमारा 75% रिजर्वेशन हरियाणा के रेजिडेंट्स को देने का वादा है।
With that, we're stepping a very short commercial break here on the Business Today show. Lots more coming up on the other side. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today.
Only if you could skip the stuff and surprise loved ones with gifts inspired by stories. Like this isn't just a pot. It's Curtis Stone's love for his grandma, who taught him to cook. That's the kind of inspiration you won't find stocked haphazardly on shelves. And it's why we're about the stories behind our products. And the stories those stories spark. And that story? Well, that's a tale for you to tell. At QVC and HSN, we bring life to products and products to life.
It takes a real estate expert to find a space big enough to hold your vision. Starting a food bank where people can give of their time, work with purpose, and change neighbors' lives one box at a time. And it all begins here, with you, and a realtor guided by a code of ethics.
So I think this is going to be perfect.
And the doors you open together.
I require seasoned adventurers.
Come on, think you like this?
He needs your help. I got your back.
It has begun.
This is real? We work on an alternative revenue stream.
Biggest pitch of their lives. Companies going head to head for their shot at a game-changing investment because sitting across from them is a world-class athlete ready to cut the check.
Touchdown! And Allison Phoenix gets her goal!
You can see the show has been playing some good golf.
They're pitching with limited time and intense pressure.
Like, what's your goal?
People didn't believe that we could make it happen.
Welcome to Front Office. अब हम अपने घर को आसाम तो बना नहीं सकते, लेकिन आसाम को अपने घर ला सकते हैं। टी वैली 100% ओरिजिनल आसाम टी, जिसमें है आसाम की लंबी पत्तियों की महक, आसाम का ताजगी भरा स्वाद, आकर्षक एयरटाइट पैक में। टी वैली ट्रूली ओरिजिनल।
Swab, Dakshin Sona Masuri rice. Swab, the best taste in town. Swab, Gulab Jamun Rasmalai Roshogulla. Swab, the best taste in town.
Patel Brothers, celebrating our food, our culture.
Swab, Kesar Mango Pulp. Swab, the best taste in town.
Patel Brothers, celebrating our food, our culture.
Swab, Dehraduni Basmati rice. Swab, the best taste in town.
You are watching India Today.
Welcome back to Business Today. You're watching Ask Udayan, the show where we answer your questions on the stock market. I'm Chaiti Narula, and with me our very own global business editor Udayan Mukherjee. We at Ask Udayan discuss strategies to smartly invest in quality stocks. So keep sending in your questions to us at the number flashing on your screens right now, and we will answer a select few on TV and online every Wednesday. So let's begin and take some of our viewer queries now. Our first question today is from Preeti Kaushal. She's calling in from Noida.
Hi Udayan. I'm holding 5,000 shares of IDFC First Bank at an average price of 45. Should I hold it or exit?
Well, you've gotten at a reasonably good price because the stock had a great rally and went up almost to 65 kind of levels, and it's cooled off to about 55, but your entry price is probably as good as you could have imagined getting into IDFC First. It's a good bank. I mean, it's got reasonably good management. One could call it a retail bank, given that nearly 2/3 of its business comes from the retail end. So it's closer in that sense to an HDFC bank, not as good yet, than maybe an ICICI bank or an IndusInd bank. Its valuations are not terribly expensive at 1.8 times price to book. So I think it's pretty okay for a retail bank in the private sector. The one issue which one has with IDFC First is, aside of the legacy issues, because it's a relatively new bank, and therefore it will take time to get to the Kotak HDFC kind of a model in terms of margins yet, but One issue which I keep seeing with IDFC is that they don't provide that aggressively. And given that we're going through the COVID kind of situation, if heavens forbid we have another setback with another wave, I don't think IDFC has enough protection under its belt. So in good times, it should be okay. But if times turn bad, you might see asset quality issues cropping up in IDFC first. Otherwise, it's a reasonably good bank and you can easily keep it in your portfolio given that you've gotten at a fairly attractive price point of around 44, 45.
Time now for another interesting question that is coming in from Rajan Giridhar, and Rajan's calling in from Hyderabad. Go on, Rajan.
Sir, I am holding 10,000 shares in Union Bank. What do you suggest?
Well, Union Bank, like any other public sector bank, has cleaned its books quite aggressively and is probably getting ready for the next capex cycle, which everybody seems to believe is on us after many, many years. So if we do have a proper capex cycle, I think it's possible that Union Bank also continues to do quite well because valuations are very cheap for this bank. I mean, it's trading at less than half times book and it has a dividend yield of around 7%. So you can't fault it on valuations. Also, some of its previous problems, like the bad assets with DHFL, seem like a thing of the past, though it is saddled with a new problem with Shrey Finance, Shrey Infrastructure, where a lot of its sticky assets seem to be holding out. So Union Bank is okay. I mean, I think it will perform in line with most of the other public sector banks. But frankly, if you had to own public sector banks now, you'd probably be better off owning a SBI or a Canara Bank. I mean, I wouldn't go about owning too many PSU banks. Maybe some of the private sector lenders are better